feel like I'm making double.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm seeing double, I'm moving double, I'm making double. And
double.
I love it.
Give me that double.
Welcome to Six Figure Trucker, the podcast where we share advice on how to be successful in trucking and have fun while doing so. We'll share stories, news, and advice on how to earn six figures in trucking, and we'll speak to guys and gals that are already doing so. Next, it's your host, Justin Scott. Let's get to the show.
Welcome to the Six Figure Trucker, guys. I've got David Doutt with me. We're excited. We're getting into season 2. I actually got to see David in person yesterday. David's been with us for going on a year now. So, David, it's good to have you, man. How you doing today?
Oh, awesome. Things are going well. Staying busy.
Good. I heard you were hitting it hard, and now you took a little R&R. Now you're back at it. Is that right?
Absolutely. Took the family up to Gatlinburg, and we had a cabin. We went with some other families, and we absolutely had a blast. Unfortunately, it rained most of the time we were there, but we had a killer cabin, and we had a blast.
No, that's great. You gotta have stuff like that. And if I'm being honest, a cabin in the woods, in the mountains with rain, I'm not complaining.
No, sir, I wasn't complaining at all.
That sounds like my cup of tea. So cool, man. Well, glad to have you back on the road. You want to tell us about how you started with Norton Transport and then what you're doing now, because you've made a little bit of a transition, and I want to get into that. But tell us how you started in Driveaway, how you started with Norton, and we'll go from there.
Absolutely, yeah. So it actually almost, in a weird way, kind of fell in my lap. Pandemic had started. I worked in entertainment and had been in entertainment for going on almost 20 years between playing, and then I transitioned into a bus driver and was driving the artists and stars around the country here. And when the pandemic hit March 13th, I was out with an artist, and we were in Grand Rapids, and we just got sent home. And I didn't know what to do, in all honesty. Yeah. And I was fortunate that, I was coming from an industry where, we worked only part of the year, so we had to be good at saving money. And you had to be good at budgeting. And the unfortunate part was we were coming out of winter, so it was funds were starting to get a little tight. But like, what am I going to do? I've got a newborn son at home, and I had no clue. Honestly, I just reached out to some bus driver buddies, and they said, "Hey, have you ever heard of Driveaway?" And I was like, "No, I don't know what that is." And so basically, told me a few things and said, "Hey, reach out to this company. I've been doing a few things with them. They've been keeping us afloat," and reached out, and honestly, it was the best decision I've ever made. I haven't gone back to the bus world, and it's, March 13th, 2020 was when all that happened. I haven't sat in a bus since.
Wow.
And you guys in Norton in general has just blown me away by how much you've made me feel like family, which is huge for me because I'm all about family. I have a wife and 3 kids at home. 2 of them are under 2 or right around 2 and younger. So family's a big deal for me.
Sure.
Home time's a huge deal for me too, but we can talk about that later. But getting into the seat and not being a bus was a huge transition for me. I would say that this is probably, if not the best money I've ever made, the best combination of money I've made plus home time that I've had at the same time. And I've made great money and been gone a lot, and I've also had a lot of home time and not made a lot. But getting into, like, with Norton, I don't work with anybody else. It's fantastic, being your own boss and having a dispatcher and things like that who are able to help and work out basically any situation that you run into. It's amazing.
Man, that's great to hear, and you said a lot of cool things in there, and when you talk about the transition to Driveaway, and you talk about, with what you were doing on tour, it is cool to hear that, hey, we've got drivers that have small kids, that have a family life, and it's not suffering because they choose to drive a truck. If anything, our industry, it's making their home life's better than it was because now they're in more control over how and where and what they do. And so I think that's cool to hear. And it's cool to hear somebody that's living it and enjoying it and just got back from a Gatlinburg vacation too.
That would have never happened in working in entertainment. I mean, as an example, and I remember this number off the top of my head, but 2007, I was out 314 days.
Jeez.
That's a huge amount of time away from home. And, you know, if you've got loved ones at home, that's just, it's not a comfortable life, you know. And obviously, you know how they say it, happy wife, happy life.
Oh yeah, that's absolutely correct in my situation too. But
Right.
no, I get that, and you know, it's cool to experience different things. And I know, you know, there's probably some great adventures that you had, you know, while in the entertainment industry and driving the bus, and you know, you look back at things and say, okay, that was cool, I did that. But you know, now you've moved on to something else. You came over to Driveaway, and now even more recently, you are taking another level of driveway. Now you're moving 2 trucks at a time now. You're what we call a boom driver.
It's the best thing that I could be doing for myself right now. And honestly, it's probably one of the best things that's ever happened to me.
Yeah. Most guys that get into that space, you know, they rarely come out of it. I had one guy recently move from boom to deck, but you know, different strokes, different folks. But at the end of the day, you know, obviously the more trucks you can move, the more money that's in it. So most guys, you know, that's kind of the selling point to it. But you know, how did you hear about booming in general, and what made you interested in wanting to kind of try to get into that route?
Well, in all honesty, this is an extremely simple answer. With everything that's been going on through the pandemic, we've noticed that parts are hard to get, and if you pay attention to anything with the car market right now, you know that things like rental cars and other forms of transportation are actually becoming slim and harder to find. So an opportunity like this, hey, I own a pickup truck, I can pull a boom trailer, I can move 2 trucks at once, and I can make, you know, more money. Absolutely, that's a no-brainer. So it's like, okay, I don't have to deal with the rental cars anymore. I get my own truck, and I know what it's going to smell like to begin with. I know that it's going to be clean because I clean it myself, and I know it's going to be a comfortable ride. Hey, the air conditioning works. You know what? Because I just repaired it.
You know, that is a simple, but a good and a right answer. You know, you're so right. Our industry has, among others, many others. And I don't want to just single Driveaway out, but many industries are hurting from the fact that it is hard to move people around. And you know, Driveaway, it's the logistics of moving people, not just trucks, because you know, we're unlike freight companies, when a trailer's dropped, they use their truck to get to the next load and so forth and so on. Well, the trucks are our freight, so we're in an industry where we have to figure out how to then move people. And you know, you hit the nail on the head that's becoming tougher and tougher. And obviously, I'm hopeful to see the light at the end of the tunnel, but I feel like it's going to be up and down for at least the near future. So having the ability to have your own truck and not have to worry when you deliver, you don't have to worry about that. You just get in your truck and go.
Absolutely. And you know what? Even without having a truck, because I don't want this to sound like, you know, hey, this is the only way to go. Even doing singles, it still is possible. You just have to be A, frugal, and B, you have to be timely, and you have to be observant, and you have to, you honestly just, I don't want to sound disrespectful, but you have to basically use your brain.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, think of every option that's out there and take advantage of anything and everything, whether it's something like ride share, a bus, a train, a rental car, if they are available, even the use of family. I mean, this is going to sound crazy, but when I was doing singles, I like to go into North Carolina a lot because that's where I grew up, and I spent 18 years of my life there in Central North Carolina, and my mother lives there. So I've actually had her pick me up from drops and take me over to another pickup. And I've had the same thing in Florida with my father. So
that's smart.
He's traveled 2 and 3 hours to come pick me up. And, you know, I've gladly, you know, reimbursed and covered things for him and taken him out to lunch and things like that, which is the added bonus is, you know, you get to see family and friends along the way.
Yeah. That's really neat, and that is thinking outside the box. But you're right; you got to be smart about it. And you know, everybody, you know, and obviously tow cars. You know, a lot of folks are looking at the tow car side, and you know, that's been big here lately. So yeah, there's a lot of ways in Driveaway to be successful. But if you don't have a tow car or you don't have a boom trailer, it is a little bit of a thinking outside the box. And luckily we've got some some great folks here that help with that, and organized travel to and from. So that's been something that we've invested a lot in here lately, because we saw a need, and when you see a need, you got to get in front of it and fill that need. But talk about this. How long have you been running a boom trailer?
We are entering my third month right now.
Third month. So you've had a chance to kind of think about what the money's like versus singles. How do you feel about that? How is it money-wise? Are you making more, or is it about the same? How are things going now that you're on the boom side?
In all honesty, I feel like I'm making double.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm seeing double. I'm moving double. I'm making double.
Double.
I love it.
Give me that double. That's great, and that's the goal, And for us too, it's you use 2 trucks at a time. Moving. The more we can move, the quicker, the happier the customers are, right? So it's a win-win.
The more I'm making, the more everybody's making.
That's right.
So I mean, it works out for everybody. The situation is mutual. Everybody
flourishes in that space.
That's correct.
Well, what about this? So you're on the road, you're booming. You've got, you said three kids at home?
I do. I have 3 kids. I have an 11-year-old, and I have a 2-year-old named Zane, and I have a very fairly newborn at home named Cora.
Well, man, that's amazing. Congratulations. I know you got a beautiful family, but how do you budget? Like a lot of guys that we've had on the show, they're either empty nesters, they've had families, they're grown, or they're too young, they're not at that age yet. So I don't know that I've had a lot of guys on the show that have small kids at home. And so I feel like for some people that are listening, that's a different element when it comes to budgeting and handling finances on the road. What are some of the things that you do to try to help with that as you're looking to save? And, it's important for our drivers to know the best ways to make money, because sometimes it's not about the money you make. It's about how you efficiently use those earnings, because when you're on the road, it can go quick. So what are some things that you do to help with that?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I first of all, I mean, between my wife and I, we've had to sit down and say, look, this is what we need to make to survive every month. This is, and there's a little bit of cushion and things for, groceries, the electric bill, your water bill, even having to think about medical necessities and things of that nature. Now, I'm a fortunate one where my wife also works full time, and we have health insurance through her employer. But having to sit down and say, we need to make this much. So if you say, well, there's 52 weeks in a year, and you have this is how much you have to make per month. I basically said, and I'm just going to throw a random number out there. If we had to make $5,000 a month, and I know for some people that's going to seem extremely high. I'm just, again, throwing a random number out there. If we had to make $5,000 a month, 12 months, that's $60,000 a year. And then you break it down even below that and say, well, $60,000 a year divided by 52 weeks is $1,153 a month, or $1,154 if you want to round it up. So you say, well, look, I need to make $1,154 a week. Now, again, random number. But, I basically would sit down and say, okay, now how do I get to this number? But not even how do I get to this number, how do I get above this number? So I need to make sure that I make that much every week, and then I need to be putting some aside for emergencies. Now, whether the emergency is a cost that's on the road, or kids need braces, kids fall and break their arm, car breaks down, whatever the situation is, you need to make sure that you've got that money set aside, because some places are getting to the point now where if you don't have the money up front, they're not going to work with you.
That's true.
And it's just because how the economy's working at times, and depending upon the area or the region that you live in, some smaller towns might be still willing to work with you, but if you live in the big or in a bigger city, sometimes you've got to have cash up front, or you can't play ball.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I mean, life happens, like you said, and you got to be prepared for it. And well, I'll tell you what, that's you've prepared and you sat down and you thought about it. You have to make sure your family's taken care of. So I think you said a lot of good things there. And for a lot of folks that are listening, hey, you got to plan it. You got to think about it.
Well, the thing is, I mean, you have to realize at the same time that no matter what, at the end of the day, it's not about you. I mean, especially if you have a family, you're not just working. You're working to better others' lives around you, whether, if you have a wife or children at home or a significant other or anything of that nature. But you're also trying to create a life of happiness. That's probably not the wording I was looking for, but you're trying to create this aura around you that people want to be around. In that I'm trying to think of the best way to put it.
I think I know. Yeah, I mean, you've got to. I mean, I think of positivity, and I think of being responsible. I think those are kind of words that come to my head. I think a lot of things that we've talked about so far is the responsibility that you have for yourself, for your family, and then creating that energy, and living it and knowing what you got to do and doing it versus, the other opposite of that is woe is me, Eeyore, this is not going to, I can't get ahead, but how hard are you trying? So
absolutely. Well, the other part too is you have to be able to separate. You have to be able to separate work from home life. Mm-hmm. And when you work or for yourself or contract with somebody, sometimes that's hard to do. You're constantly thinking about your next move. It's almost like playing chess. You have to strategize sometimes. And you basically have to have in your mind, okay, if I'm home, this is my family time. And then you say, look, hey, I've got to plan my next trip. And I try to be really diligent in my trip planning and try to make it so that I don't incur a lot of expenses on the road. Because, as I said, I have 3 kids at home, so most of my money goes back home.
Absolutely. I understand that, especially when you have little ones. Like you said, life happens, you got to be ready. But no, I get that. And I've talked to some guys about this too, is like, obviously, you mentioned early on the flexibility of picking, the loads and going where you want to go. But then when you think about, okay, now I'm doubling the money, I'm moving 2 trucks, it's easy to get lost in making the money too, right? I mean, can that, you get to where you're working and then you're like, oh gosh, I need to take some time away and maybe I should have done that a week ago. Can that happen?
It can, in all honesty. It started to, and my wife looked at me and said, hey, it's time to take a break. Like, yeah. You've been running, and I feel like, she says, I have the flexibility of no force dispatch, and I can work when I want and things like that. She goes, I feel like all you're doing is working again. And I said, you know what? You're right. Let's go on a trip. And so the funny thing was we have some really close family friends, and I reached out to them and said, hey, you want to go somewhere? And they said, absolutely. Let's figure it out. So we put it together pretty quick, and we went away. Absolutely. The thing too was, if you don't plan and if you don't take the time for your family, like I said, you will get lost in it, but you'll also start making expenses for yourself that truly don't exist. You'll start, if you start forcing yourself to be gone a lot more, you'll start thinking, well, hey, maybe I need a hotel room here, or I need to do this, or I need to do that. I need to spend money for this. I need to spend money for that. And then you start making up expenses that aren't needed.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, even with my role here, not on the road a lot. We have to travel a lot for different reasons, but you can get entrenched in the work, and you gotta make sure that doesn't overflow. It'd be 10 o'clock at night and you're still working, and that's not always healthy for a family and 2 small kids. So I understand 100% where you're coming from on that.
I will say though, for me, like if I'm gone, I'm either driving, working, or sleeping. If I'm not at the house, I'm doing some form of work related activity.
Yeah.
I'm trying to bust my ass to get back home.
Well, that's great, and that's what it takes. So obviously, enjoying the flexibility and understanding how to keep that balance. So kudos to you on figuring that out. I want to rewind a little bit because something I wanted to ask you that just came to me. When you transitioned to the boom trailer and being able to run 2 trucks at a time, how was that learning curve? Like, you don't just wake up and know how to run a boom trailer and operate a boom trailer, right? I mean, what was that like for you?
In all honesty, I was introduced to a man who became my trainer, and he honestly was the kindest and most helpful person, and I owe all this to him. And unfortunately, he is no longer with us.
Yes,
we did lose Andre here just several weeks ago, and it's very unfortunate. I feel very, very badly for his family in this time of loss. But Andre gave me a gift. He taught me a way that I can provide for my family in a way that I never had the ability to do before. And it's something that I am eternally grateful for. And it's something that he will always be with me in the back of my mind, just constantly giving him thanks, because without him and without this opportunity, we wouldn't be in the situation that we are now. And we're happy. I mean, our bills are paid. There at the beginning of the pandemic, when all this crashed on us, I didn't know what we were going to do. I was afraid. I mean, we had literally just moved into a brand new house. I built a house in December
oh wow,
of 2019, and March, I lost all forms of employment without any knowing when we were going to go back to work. And the worst part was, I made a very, very bad decision and furnished the house and put things on credit cards, and with the thought in my head, I'll be going back to work here in a month or two.
Sure.
It'll all be off. Big mistake.
Yeah.
Big mistake. So we live and learn. We all make mistakes, and I will say this, that I am on the road to being debt free right now. This has completely changed our lives to the fact that almost all of those debts have been completely repaid.
Wow.
And it's really been a game changer for us.
Well, that's excellent, because that is tough. I mean, yeah, like you said, you were, obviously in the wintertime, the entertainment industry slow. So in your mind, hey, spring's hitting, I'm about to be balls to the wall, about to make some money. I'm going to go ahead and take care of this. Not going to be a big deal. Then boom, the bottom drops out. Now here you are with some credit card debt and not knowing what your next move is. It had to be scary.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, just, wondering how you're going to pay the electric bill from the winter, and how you're going to feed your family and pay the mortgage. And it's difficult. It really is. And it weighs on you.
Yeah, absolutely. How many years did you say you were in the entertainment industry?
I was nearing my 20th year. I want to say I was in there between, it's like 18 or 19 years.
Wow. One thing I like to talk about is places that people like to go. So obviously your lanes are different. You're going to different places. What are some of the things that you've seen that you've enjoyed in this job, just being a truck driver, being a bus driver? What are some of the cool things that you've experienced on the road?
I'm a big boy, so I like to eat.
Oh, yeah. Now we're talking. Me too.
And I love roadside diners. I love pulling off in the middle of nowhere for a great dive. I also love a good view off the side of the highway too. So I mean, between food and pulling off and taking 5 minutes, I mean, this is the best part about this, is I have no time constraints anymore.
Yeah.
I don't have somebody telling me, hey, we should have been there 10 minutes ago, and with the expectation of pulling 600 miles in 8 hours. That's not humanly possible.
Right.
But, being able to take time to myself too, if I want to pull over and say something's weighing heavy on me, and I come across a great view on the side of the road, I'll pull over. I'll walk around the truck. I'll lean up against the truck, enjoy the breeze, close my eyes, breathe the air, because life's beautiful. We only get one chance.
Man, that's true.
And taking the time for yourself while either going cross country or regional, or however you decide to route yourself and do this. I myself like to stay regional. I try to stay like Midwest, East Coast, South, just because it keeps me within a day or so of being home.
Right.
In the event of an emergency. But you got to take the time, like I said, take the time to reflect, take the time to breathe. Take the time to take it in. Places, in regards to your question, places that I've been, places that I enjoy, I do love the West Coast. I like the southwestern part of the United States. I love like Painted Desert, Grand Canyon. I do like to gamble, so I do like Vegas.
Oh yeah.
It can be my muse at times, but it could also be the death of me. So you have to be careful when it comes. It's funny because I mean I've been to Vegas a couple times, and I seem to lose all my money in Vegas. But if I go to a casino elsewhere, I seem to win it all.
That's how it goes, right? Yeah. Well, so you had a big. When was it? We were talking yesterday. Obviously, you came back and we got the chance to talk in person a little bit. But you got to tell that story. You had not only have you won, you've won big in a casino. Tell us about that.
I was out on tour. I was still working in entertainment at the time. I was out with Hall & Oates, and we had a day off in Detroit. And I went at the time. The MGM Grand in downtown Detroit was brand new, and I walked in. I said, "All right, I'm gonna throw $100 around and see what happens." And I was up, I was down, and by the time I knew it, I had $20 left, and walked up to this one machine, and I was like, "Well, this one looks cool." So I slid the 20 in and was down to my last few dollars, and finally I bumped it up to, I don't know, I was probably up $40 by this time, and I saw the max bet was $4. I hit it $4 one time, and nothing happened. I did it one more time, and I hit the jackpot for $30,000.
God, that's crazy, man. That's one of those. That's one of those where, like, you see on the movies where, like, that person's there and everybody around them's like looking. Is everybody looking at you like, what's happening?
Oh yeah. Oh, and trust. Like, I'm in downtown Detroit. I think I need an escort back to my hotel.
Yeah. Take that. Literally take the money and run here.
Well, the whole thing was, I mean, I tried to make smart financial decisions. Even before I was in Driveaway, I bought land with it, and it's now the land my house sits on.
Damn. Good decision. Real good decision. Yeah. So kudos. Good decision there. Great decision. Well, me too, man. I love, traveling and finding different places to eat and obviously going to different places. Is there one specific place when you think about, where you've been and, some of these cool dives, is there one specific place that just jumps out to you as like, man, I got to tell everybody this is where they need to go?
Oh man. So so I have this one place that I have to stop at, and it's so cheesy, but I love it. For some reason, I like it. It has this diner feel to it. And it's out when you're going 40 westbound and you cross into New Mexico. On the right side, again, heading westbound, there's a truck stop. And it's out in the middle of nowhere. But this truck stop has a diner in it, and they do Tex-Mex.
Oh, yeah, I love Tex-Mex.
And they also have a car museum inside of this truck stop.
What?
Yeah, it's the coolest. I wish I could remember the name of the truck stop right now. But it like I said, there's a car museum in there, a general store. They've got tons of truck parking, and it's really clean. I mean, if you like anything from like fresh peanuts and sandwiches and anything you could think of, they've got it there. But they've got cool old motorcycles and old cars, and it's just a cool little stop. But I've spent many a nights in that parking lot just because the amazing part is if you stand in the west side of their parking lot, you get an evening there. It's a clear sky. You have one of the most beautiful sunsets you'll see.
Oh, I love that.
In the country, in my personal opinion, because it's just like this beautiful kind of like thumbnail curve of the horizon, and it's absolutely gorgeous.
Man, I love that, and I love finding cool little spots like that. Interesting spots. Obviously, you're out there. West Coast, you get a crazy view, some great Tex-Mex. I'm a big Tex-Mex guy too. We obviously have to go to San Antonio a lot, and there's so many different like hole-in-the-wall spots that I've kind of went to like seek out because I feel like sometimes that's where you find hidden gems, if you will.
Absolutely.
You've got the grandma that's been cooking this recipe for 40 years, and I get to try it. As a guy that likes to eat, that's me too. That's what I'm doing.
It's hard to believe so many people can cook chilies so many different ways.
It is, but I'm gonna try them all.
Absolutely.
I'm on a mission. No, man, that's great. I love hearing that, and I love hearing about taking advantage of the situation you're in. This is what you do. You earn for your family by doing this, and there's obviously things that you don't have a regular 9 to 5. You're not home every single night, but there's perks, right? There's perks of the job.
I make it. It's cool because, like I said, I try to stay regional. So I'm kind of in a convenient location. I live just outside of Nashville, Tennessee, and I'm just a couple hours north of the Norton office. Well, I'm actually, I guess, almost 3 hours. I'm up near off I-65 near the Kentucky state line, and it's a convenient location to live because I can pick up a load, in somewhere Ohio, Kentucky, Chicago, anywhere, and if it's running south, I'm basically gonna almost run by the house.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I like to pick up on a Monday morning, even though I spent the weekend at home, and spend the night with my wife on a Monday night or a Tuesday night.
You can't argue with that.
Stay out for another day or two, and then I might cross back through the house again for a night or two, and just keep doing that. I mean, I'll go home for a few days, and then I'll pass through another day, and I mean, I stayed at the house last night, so I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, no, that's great. I've heard, we've heard a lot of guys with the, your lanes. You get set lanes sometimes, but there's obviously a change in pace every now and then. And so, folks that try to find those lanes that make sense, not only does it make sense, monetarily, but family life, hey, look, this guy was talking on here the other day, over the road trucker for 10 years, out on the road all the time, long hauls. And then now he gets a chance to every now and then pop in during the week to see his family. And he's just over the moon about that. So the flexibility is real in our world. So, drivers that are looking for a change and maybe looking to get out of that long haul life, flexibility in Driveaway is where it's at, and you're hearing it from folks directly that are out there doing it. So I think it's wonderful.
Honestly, I mean, I can't see myself doing anything else. It honestly is the best thing for my family situation. I mean, it's really cool too, because I mean, I'll bring a truck. I don't park them at the house per se, but I've got a place where I can park it right down the road that's in a safe, secure location, and my wife will come pick me up if I don't feel like taking my truck off the trailer. But my wife will come pick me up, and the kids always get so excited. They're like, truck.
Oh yeah, they love seeing that. I love that. We're luckily being here at the office, we'll have all kinds of trucks pop in from time to time. So when my kids are here, they're dump truck. My son loves a dump truck, so he's getting excited for seeing it. So
that's right. It's funny because you mentioned the dump truck. I took a dump truck by the house, and I met my wife and kids for lunch one day. And my oldest, Ella, she's like, "Can I go look inside of there?" And I was like, "Sure, just don't touch anything." Yeah. And all of a sudden, she's like, "What does this button do? What does that button do?" And I'm like, "Well, let's figure that out."
Yeah, there's too many buttons not to touch here, Dad. I'm touching one of these buttons.
Because now you got me curious. What does that button do?
Yeah, I love that. But no, it's awesome seeing the joy on kids' faces too when they see something like that. So I'm still a kid too when I see a boom set, with two trucks with the truck pickup on top and deck sets. I'm still like a kid. I'm around these things all the time, but every time I see them, it's still awesome to me because we're moving multiple trucks at a time, and when you see a four-way deck set going down the road, well, that's a sight to see.
Oh, absolutely, and it gets me a little excited, to be honest, because I know there's money. That's what I see. Moving. I'm like, oh, look at those $100 bills.
Yeah, exactly.
What's funny too is not too long ago I was kind of going through rural Virginia, and I pulled up this little mom and pop truck stop, and for something about it just kind of grabbed my attention. So they actually were making burritos in there, so I stopped and grabbed me a burrito, which was awesome, by the way.
Oh.
As I'm walking back out to the truck, there's these two older local guys, obviously, and they're like, "I ain't never seen nothing like that before." And they're talking about the truck setup. And now, if people don't know what a boom is, I'll explain that real quick. So a boom truck is, I drive one of the cabs. I have a trailer that I pull with my pickup that I can connect to the two trucks. And then I have a rear facing truck that I tow behind me. And basically the trailer connects to the frame of the truck. And there's a whole process to do that. But basically, for illustration purposes, I have a truck facing forward and a truck facing backwards, and my pickup truck is on this trailer between them. So these guys are looking and they're scratching their head and they're saying, "How did you get that truck up there?" And I look, in all honesty, I'm a little lost, and I honestly don't even know how that happened. I showed up to pick up one truck, I blacked out, and I woke up and my back hurt so bad. These guys looked at me and they're like, "You lifted your truck up on there?" And I was like, "No, man, the thing's got a hydraulic lift."
It is cool to see that, though. When you've got people that haven't seen it, especially guys like that, and talking about that for like, how in the hell did this happen? But it's a sight. I mean, it's cool. It's certainly rigged, and that you think about the safety that goes into it, and thinking about just the mechanism that makes it work and makes it tick, and it's cool to see. It's cool to talk about.
I mean, I had a guy pulled up to get fuel yesterday at a mom and pop truck stop as well. I love the mom and pops. I try to stay away from the chains.
Absolutely.
But just mainly because you get better food and things like that. So, yeah. And I feel like they don't price gouge you when it comes to items in the store. But this guy comes walking out and he's scratching his head. He cocks his head to the side. He goes, "Well, that's a first." Everywhere you go, I mean, it's almost. I feel like I'm still back in the bus world, because every time I pull over, someone's going to talk to me about what I'm driving.
Yeah. I bet that's pretty neat. We had one of the guys on here that had been booming for a long time, and I guess it was the late 90s or early 2000s. I can't remember, but he pulled up at a DOT stop, and he said, the guy looked at him, he said, "I'm not even really sure what to say to you right now."
I pulled into the way station and they look at me weird and they're like, "I don't know what that is, but you can go ahead."
Yeah, they're like, I don't understand what's happening, so we'll just let you go. But no, a lot of even to this day, a lot of DOT officers they just haven't seen it, and it's just not something it's not like a car hauler that you see. You can drive down the interstate for 5 miles and see 10 car haulers.
Absolutely.
So it's a little different. Well, cool. Well, man, I'm glad that to hear that you seem to be happy. Things seem to be working out. I think that's the main thing, is when you choose Driveaway, and you got to choose the right thing for you. And maybe it's being a deck driver. Maybe it's being a singles driver. Maybe it's being a boom driver. Maybe it's just running buses. Maybe it's being a tow driver. Whatever it is, there's an option for you. Do what you do that makes you happy. Do what you do to satisfy your family and make it work for you. And that's the cool thing about it, right? Is it can work for different people.
Yeah, I mean, and to be completely honest, I mean, I tried decking after singles, and it was financially rewarding. I truly didn't enjoy it, and the only reason I didn't enjoy it was I feel like I'm not the most mechanically inclined, so I felt like I was kind of at a slight disadvantage. Now, to say that, you don't have to have a lot of mechanical skill set. I guess I'm probably getting more set in my ways, and probably just didn't want to learn.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, hey, at some point, that's where I think that's okay, when you know what's right for you. And, I think it's cool to try stuff and to think out, get outside of your comfort zone and then make the decision. And that's what I try to tell my kids, if it's anything you're not going to like it if it's uncomfortable, but give it a shot. You may like it, you may not, but you got to try it. And I respect anybody that does that. So I think it's cool for you to be able to say, hey, I did this, didn't like it as much. Now I'm doing this. I love it. That's great, So
I couldn't be happier where I'm at. I'll be honest with you.
Well, man, we're glad to have you. So you've got your dispatcher here at Norton. How's that relationship when you did singles? Now it does boom for you. You kind of grow a little bit with that dispatcher when things like that happen, right?
Absolutely. So Levi's my dispatcher, and Levi and I have a very funny relationship. I feel like we kind of grew up together. Like we kind of have the same personality, and we laugh at the same jokes and things of that nature. So we kind of get each other. I was Levi's first boom driver. So he kind of was like, I don't know what to do. Once he and I started formulating plans and he started realizing the way that I think in regards of trying to piece loads together, Levi now calls me and he's like, hey man, I got this. You want it? So it works. It kind of works out. So Levi and I kind of have this understanding. He knows I like to try to go home on the weekends. So he knows that I like to stay fairly close to home. And he's really good at being attentive to things like making sure if something pops up on the board, he doesn't just assign me to it. He makes sure, hey, it's a tractor, it's not a bus or a box or something like that, because that has happened in the past where, you go try to pick something up, you show up and it's like, uh-oh.
Yeah, you can't do it.
Right. But, and it's all, human error happens and that's understandable, but you guys make sure that everyone's taken care of in a situation like that as well. So nobody's completely out and nobody's, honestly hurting because of it. But Levi and I mean, hell, when I come into town, Levi and I try to go grab lunch together. I'll shoot Levi a text or something like that. We're like over the weekend or something like that. And I'm just like, hey man, check this out. I'll find something online that I know he'll find funny.
That's great. I mean, I love that. And obviously you guys have earned each other's trust too. And knowing that, it takes, both sides of that to be successful. You got to have somebody that's looking out for your best interest. You got to have somebody that trusts you, that you trust, and then to have a good time in the middle. That's just icing on the cake, right?
Absolutely. And and the thing is too. So I know Levi's probably going to kick me for this. He'll always kind of joke with me. He goes, "Hey, my birthday's this day. Hey, remember my favorite driver gets me something for Christmas."
That sounds like Levi. I love it, man.
Levi's excited to be working with folks because he knows that if we're out making money, he's making money. Norton's making money. As I said earlier, it's mutually beneficial for everybody.
Oh, it is. You should have seen his eyes yesterday when you showed up to pick up that trailer. Boy, his eyes lit up like a Christmas tree. He was ready.
Oh yeah, well yeah, I bust it. I bust my ass when I go out. I mean, it's not uncommon for me to move. I mean, when I say this many trucks, because sometimes I do singles and sometimes I will do doubles. But I mean, I move between 5 and 10 trucks a week. I mean, I try to stay as busy as humanly possible because if I'm going to be gone, I'm going to be working, and then when I go home, I get my home time.
Well, and that is something that I kind of wanted to mention when you look at talk about how much you work, but also we talked about how often you were able to be home. So last month you were the highest grossing non-deck driver that Norton had.
Oh, fantastic!
How about that? And
I didn't even know that. That's awesome.
And you got to go home.
I spent quite a bit of time at home, actually. I mean, I want to say that I probably averaged somewhere between probably 3 days at home each week.
Yeah, that's great. And you still beat out a lot of other drivers. So you did a great job, and I think obviously being able to be flexible, being able to make the money that you want to be able to make, it probably motivates you in different ways and helps you look at the board in a different way. So congratulations on your success. I can tell just by talking to you that it's not just another job. It sounds like you're enjoying what you're doing. You like it. It's working for you and your family, and I think that's all a man can ask for.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a sense of pride, accomplishment you get when you take and you deliver a truck, and the customer's happy and they're eager to sign off on it because they're eager to either sell it or they're eager to give it to their client, or you're delivering it to the client and they're excited to put it to work. Everyone's happy at that point. It's mutually beneficial. They're making money, you're making money.
Absolutely. Well,
I mean, I hate to say it, I view it a lot like that when it comes to the money aspect of it, but honestly, I don't work for my health. I work for the financial aspect.
Yeah, that's why I like having this show, because we're not coming to do this for free, right? We're not practicing here. We're out here trying to make a decent living and trying to be successful. And money's not everything, but we're working for it. So I'm not coming to work to not make it, and I know you guys aren't either. So we all work together to be successful, and I think that's okay to say. There's nothing wrong with that at all.
I will say too, in regards to what you just mentioned earlier, that I was, I guess, the highest grossing non-deck driver.
Yeah.
Last month was the best month financially I've ever had in my life.
Oh, that's great. That's great to hear.
This has legitimately changed not just my life, but my entire family's lives.
Man, that's awesome to hear. So let me ask you this. What advice, would you give somebody that was looking to transition to Driveaway? What is a piece of advice? Been doing this well over a year, almost a year, or however long it's been. What is something that you would say to some younger folks or even some older folks that are looking to transition to something to be a little more flexible? What's a piece of advice that David would like to give out?
Well, I guess it would depend on the person. So I'll branch it to two different pieces of advice. A, to the younger person, either just starting out or a person with the family at home. Just do it. Just stop what you're doing and do it. Honestly, it's a great living. You got to take a chance. And I know a lot of folks are not willing to take a chance, especially right now. There's a lot of uncertainty with certain folks and certain situations, but get with a dispatcher, get signed up, become knowledgeable of your dispatcher, learn how to talk to them and tell them what your needs are, and once you tell them what you need and you find out what they're all about, work together. And once you do that, you're going to be set. Just you try to be smart and try to plan. Always look ahead. And that's my thing. Is my wife kind of gets on me. She's like, "You're always looking like 50 steps ahead." I was like, "I can't help it."
Yeah.
That's just kind of like ingrained in me. I'm always having to pay attention to like multiple steps ahead of me to make sure everything works. So always take a chance. Always take a chance. That's just the way that I think. Be willing to get out there and try something new. And you never know, you're going to probably like it. I mean, most people that I've run into that do Driveaway, they say they love it. They love the flexibility. They love the home time. They love the money. I remember before I started doing Boom Trailer, there was a guy who I'd met who was doing Boom. And he's like, "Man, I put 5 kids through college doing this."
Oh, yeah.
So my other part, my part 2 to your question would be to the person who's an empty nester or a retiree looking to do something. There's no better way to travel and see the country and basically do what you want on your terms than doing this. I mean, you got to think about it. Let's just say you're an empty nester and you live in Florida. You take a truck and you move it out to the Midwest and you pick something else up to the Midwest that'll take you up into the Pacific Northwest. Well, now you've just made a decent chunk of change. You can take some camping equipment with you, or if you have a tow vehicle, you can take some of your own personal stuff with you, a rental vehicle, however you decide to move across the country in between. But now you have the ability to travel, and you're not paying for it. You're getting paid to travel. So now if you want to take a couple weeks off, you either want to go camping or backpacking, or you've got friends or family, stop in. Hell, make friends. Go. I mean, there's tons of groups on the social media platforms where you can find other like-minded folks who are possibly doing the same thing that you are. Either they're just traveling and they're looking for companionship, not relationship, like intimate relationship, but they might be just looking for, a travel buddy. So you might be able to find somebody who is out there looking for the same thing you are, who wants to travel, meet new people, and the opportunity is there. And I would say also, again, to these folks, take advantage of it. Do it, because you only live once.
Man, that's great. And what a cool way to see the country and experience new things and get paid for it along the way and take some time off. I mean, that you hit the nail on the head there. There's opportunities for everybody here. So, I think it's great. And we're glad to have you. We're glad that we've got somebody that was not in the industry that came over to the industry, and wow, now look how successful he is doing so. I mean, obviously the top grossing driver outside of decking just last month. Beat a lot of deck guys, by the way. So let's take that out of the equation. But anyway, did a great job, and obviously you're successful. You figured it out. Kudos to you, man.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. And I'm grateful to be here, and I'm grateful for every opportunity, and I just try to live life to the fullest and try to provide for my family.
Well, man, we're glad to hear that, and glad to have had you on the show. You heard it from the man himself, David Doutt, boom driver for Norton Transport, earning a killing, enjoying his family life. Sounds like he's happy Jack, so couldn't have it a better way. So, David, anything else you want to say before we wrap the show up? Anything on your mind you want to get out there?
No, the only thing I would say is keep in touch with, if you're with Norton, keep in touch with your dispatcher. If you're not with Norton and you're interested in Driveaway, call us. Either you got a friend in it who's doing it already, ask questions, call Norton. Somebody answers the phone and ask them, say, hey, look, I'm interested. Like, how do I do this? How do I become a part of this family? Because that's truly what it is. It's a small family-owned company that treats you like a family member, and that's what I like. I like the fact that when I need help, I can pick up the phone and somebody's willing to help me.
Absolutely. So, I love that, because that's important to us. I said this on the last podcast to a guy that didn't know, but our founder and our owner was our first driver. Mm-hmm. So his message is every day. We take care of our drivers, because that's how I started, and that's what I am. So we're a company built by drivers, and we've got other folks in the industry now that are in the office and grew up around a lot of different drivers. Dads were in trucking, moms were in trucking, so we've got to never forget that, and he does a good job reminding us of that. So I think that's why we've been able to be successful and continue to have success, is because we keep that top of mind. Well, David, man, it was a pleasure having you on the show. Six-figure trucker David Doutt, making money, enjoying life. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. And we'll have to have you on again. This was awesome.
Absolutely. Thanks for your time. Appreciate you.
Six-Figure Trucker is brought to you by Norton Transport. Norton Transport is a drive-away trucking company that customers can rely on. It offers excellent independent contract driving opportunities to professional, courteous, and qualified drivers that can provide the kind of service we deliver. If you're interested in learning more about Norton, or just want to subscribe to the show, check out 6-figuretrucker.com. That's 6-figuretrucker.com.